Did someone say scratch and dent ring lights?
The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
Oh yeah, Geek House Dark Mode was just the beginning. Thanks to all these fancy schmancy lights, the lighting experiments can continue. Last go around we looked at these Walmart specials over here, this little ring light thing, something or another, and the Zoomy Tower as well. We also have the light wand from Walmart that's been the most useful so far. But today we're looking at some ring lights. So we're moving beyond the Walmart specials here, and I'm finally checking out this staple these days of podcasting and streaming. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see a ring light, I think like old school lights going around the edge of where someone puts on makeup or something. So it really took me some time to really start thinking about using ring lights. But with how inexpensive these ring lights were, I just couldn't resist. I had to finally satisfy my curiosity about these things. So the 9-to-5ers have a safety store where if you work safely for X amount of whatever, you get safety currency, which can then be used to purchase things when you get enough of it. Now, previously, the safety store had been the home of overpriced company apparel, where you would spend like half a year saving up enough safety currency in order to get like a jacket or something. But when scratch and dent merchandise started finding its way into that store for really cheap, because otherwise it would be disposed of or the inventory folks didn't know what to do with it, I figured I'd roll the dice. I know how much these ring lights often cost when they're Walmart specials and otherwise, so I figured why not give it a shot. So today we're taking a look at two ring lights. We have a 10-inch ring light that's supposed to go 5.5 feet off the ground. Maybe this will actually be a proper replacement for that goofball disc lamp I tried off of Amazon earlier. And then there's a 3.5-inch one. Both of these are made to hold smartphones, but I'm looking to just use them as lights. I'm not going around as an IRL streamer with a ring light smartphone battery charger mega apparatus everywhere I go. But I still want to check these things out and see if the AV geek in me can find some use for some of these things. Plus, with how much this one got dinged, I'm curious if it even works.
Yeah, once I turn some regular lighting back on, I see they're both made by Zoomy.
Yeah, so we're back to experimenting with Zoomy stuff, huh? Well, let's get the more dinged up one out of the box first, because that's the one I'm curious about. Does it work, or did it get too smashed up? You know, for years I've been upset at potato chips when they have that disclaimer on the bag that says, some settling of contents may have occurred. Well, this, in a very nerdy way, is the first time the some settling of contents has worked in my favor. I'm glad this box was nowhere near full, considering where it got dinged in that corner. Let's put this thing together. Okay, this is interesting. Important note, it's not on. It's just reflecting light from that light over there. But what we have here basically is a small ring light with a phone holder that's made to clip onto something. It has an inline remote and it runs off a USB. Which is interesting because, like other 5-volt devices, we can actually use phone chargers to power it for a temporary lighting setup if we can't get any, AC or anything, or cables or anything near it. So basically anything that can charge a phone can run these things. That's the interesting part about all these 5-volt lights that are coming out, is that they do put off a decent amount of light for only taking 5 volts. It's really interesting stuff. Now, as much as these things are made with kind of a streamer, vanity kind of thing in mind, where you put your phone in there and you walked around, maybe you clipped this onto something or carried it and you IRL streamed or something like that, I can imagine perhaps putting a smartphone in that has a good enough camera to use to record footage and aiming both the camera and the ring light away from me to film something else. Just maybe that's years of YouTube talking, but yeah, AV geek extraordinaire. Let's see what this thing looks like. Okay, let's see what this thing can do. Fortunately, I have a little PNY battery box around here that I'm not using for much of anything, and it's a rather dumb one too, so it won't automatically shut off and kill the power to the whole circuit. So let's take the inline remote here, which already is receiving power, and go to dark mode only and see what kind of lighting we can get out of this thing. What's interesting is I'm doing exactly what I said I was going to do. I'm running this off a charger box. So we have our remote here. We're in Smurfavision right now because it's total Geek House dark mode. Let's fire this thing up. Whoops. Nope. Let's see here. Nope, the battery box just turned off. It thought it was charged, but if there's a constant load on it, we can turn it on like this. Nice. So, what does it have? Does it have a... So, it has it has adjustments, just like the other Zoomy. Oh, it has brightness adjustments. So, this is the brightness. Wow, that's bright. We have brightness, and we also have color adjustments. So, we have cold white, warm white, things like that. I think cold light will actually be the most useful. What I've been finding is that really diffuse cold light is actually the best for lighting things up. But what this also means is that we could clip this to something and maybe light up the Delosaurus and stuff. The thing is that really diffuse cold light is really good for using white light to light a subject and then leaving the color and whatnot going in the background for Geek House dark mode. So let's do some more tinkering with this, assuming the battery box doesn't shut off again. And let's see if we can light up the Delosaurus with this thing without bleeding too much color onto the wall. It's funny because this thing is basically a potato chip clip. So I'm describing my lighting setup here in 2021. I have a phone charging battery box going to a potato chip clip, which also has an adjustable mount for a smartphone, which goes out to a ring light that runs off of LEDs and illuminates the Delosaurus with a minimum amount of bleed onto the wall in terms of light bleed. Could always move this further from the wall and stuff like that. But I can adjust the brightness to get the mixture of white light and the background light perfectly fine. You can also change it to, warmer light and other stuff, but I think cold light is pretty much what we're looking for here. The problem is I have to keep looking to see what color the light is, but the temperature adjustment is pretty interesting. So yeah, it's just the thing, a lot of these more flexible lights and stuff give you a lot of options. And don't forget, all of this is running off of a battery box that normally charges smartphones. A little bit of bleed onto the wall because of the way light works, but not as much as some of the harsher lights that I've previously been experimenting with. And this thing can be clipped onto pretty much any surface. So, we'll have to see what we can do with this thing. Well, not bad for a scratch and dent, especially when we lucked out where the thing didn't get smashed. Now let's check out the big one. This is the one with the 5.5 foot stand, and it's 10 inches across. So we'll see what this one is. And as a matter of fact, let's actually cook test the other light while getting this light out of the box. So I'm not so sure that this one's going to run off of 5 volts, but if it's streamer friendly, it will. So let's see what we have to play with here. There's why it's scratch and dent. Whoops, the box got ripped. Well, at least it didn't get crushed. But this could also mean it got pierced by something. We'd better check the contents. Well, this is looking interesting. It looks like a robot vacuum. So I'm finding that this is a lot more lighter and portable than the last one of these things I bought from Amazon, the disc lamp that I tried earlier. So let's put this ring light together if it's not already together. You just don't have to unfold it. Something else, by the way, to mention with the other light is that, a lot of people see this stuff like ring lights and stuff, and they think podcasters, stuck-up streamers, what have you. But if you have an apparatus like this that can run off a phone charger box, and this thing is incredibly portable, you can use this as a work light with its inline remote and your charger box. So if you're like changing the oil in your car or something, you don't mind this thing one of these things getting a little dirty, hook it up to a battery box while you're like, well, where's that bolt we have to unscrew to get all the oil out of the oil pan? I mean, if you need a light somewhere, these things can actually be pretty handy. Don't just assume that just because it's a ring light that it's automatically, some stuck-up streamer's apparatus. These things are handy, and they're the result of technology that has really, really matured in the last few years. This thing is streamer friendly. It compacts down to this cylinder with a cord, but it runs off of 5 volts. So it's just like the other one in the sense that you could run this off of phone chargers. So if you're a streamer somewhere, you toss this in your streamer backpack and make it part of your kit and go IRL streaming somewhere. Oh, it's a little dark? Let's set up the portable light that goes 5.5 feet in the air. And it kind of unfolds kind of like this. We just got to find out how it tightens up and everything and how this telescopes. Let's do some playing with this thing. Yeah. Might want to show the whole thing. Thing for a phone in the middle, of course. IRL streaming, woo! Yeah. We had to stand up for this one because holy crap, this thing is tall. It does telescope up to the height of a decent-sized person here, all while running off of 5 volts. Here's a Walmart battery box. Just power it back on. It's at 99%, and now we can power the device. Boom. Yeah, and we can change the color temperature as well as the brightness. So you have warm, medium, and cold, and we have varying levels of brightness with this thing. But this thing is super portable, and I actually think it's better than the disc lamp that I bought from Amazon. Not only is the light very diffuse, and it very much is aiming at, it can aim at a face basically and light up a face. It also has room in the middle for the smartphone mount, which I have removed. So, because the smartphone mount can actually be removed from this thing. But holy crap, this thing, I mean, the disc lamp that was nowhere near as flexible and arrived damaged from Amazon was $40, and it isn't portable. This thing is much better. You want to set up for a YouTube video, just telescope this thing, and then it all compacts down to the little cylinder we saw earlier when you're done. And it runs off of a battery box. Draws too much current to run off the PNY box that running the little disc lamp out, the little disc light off of, but it will run off of a Walmart box. And you got a little readout as to how much it's draining and stuff like that too. So yeah, in a pinch, if you can't hook it up to anything that plugs into AC, you can run it off of phone chargers for a decent amount of time. Just depends on the capacity of the charger. The world we live in, where phone chargers charge way more than just phones. And just like that, it's back to a cylinder. It's crazy how portable this thing is. You can set it up to a bunch of different heights. You can have it firing in various directions. I mean, lights are just, AV geek fun at its finest. Whether you're doing 3-point lighting or something simpler or something along those lines or trying to get a dramatic look in a YouTube video, it's just so much fun to mess with this stuff. Either way, I may seriously consider getting rid of this double lamp or something like that, but I don't know if I really need it. But it's nice to have a simple light you can just turn on for really basic stuff while you're fiddling with all this fancy crap. That's why I still have regular lights hooked up to the light switches of this place, so if you just want to turn on the lights the normal way, even though they're daylight lights, it's more than possible to do so. So yeah, plenty of ideas and plenty of thoughts on what to do with all of this stuff. It's just, wow, I remember when I was little, LED technology was light bright, and now we've got this kind of stuff that's available. It's insane, And that's why you see all these fancy light setups with all these streamers and whatnot, is because it's so easy to get something that looks nice these days. And here I was thinking it was actually gonna warm up. Whatever. Well, since in classic New England winter style the weather is complete garbage and March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb or something like that, let's just call it here and let's pick up this little experiment when half the darn neighborhood isn't getting blown over by 60-mile-an-hour winds. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.